Hello, and welcome aboard to this episode of the We Are Reading One Piece podcast. This is a podcast dedicated to following the entire story of One Piece from beginning to end as we focus on each volume. We keep the discussion spoiler-free for new fans of the series, so this is the perfect place to follow along, whether you're new to the series or just want to revisit the world of One Piece with us. This week, we will be covering the first part of Volume 62, Adventure on Fishman Island, which covers chapters 604 through 609. My name is Joel, and I'll be your host. Joining me today, we have Evan.
Howdy, Evan here.
And we have Cody.
Let's go underwater. Let's go underwater. Just gonna do a Little Mermaid reference, but I don't want to get Zuck third. Whoever the YouTube person is now.
Yeah, so we're finally making our way towards Fishman Island, which has been like hundreds of chapters in the making. So time to see what all the hype is about.
It is insane that we're finally here.
All right, well, I'm gonna give us a little recap before we get into it, and instead of my usual recaps that I come up with, I'm just gonna read the recap from the beginning of the volume, which I feel kind of like succinctly puts it together. When he lost his brother Ace in the Paramount War, Luffy learned just how weak he really was. But Luffy also reconfirmed how important his friends were for him to move forward. Rayleigh visits Luffy and suggests that he train. Agreeing, Luffy sends a message to the rest of his crew to meet up again in 2 years. After 2 years, the Straw Hat Pirates meet up once again in the Sabaody Archipelago. They set sail for the New World with a renewed resolve. Though the fake Straw Hats interfere, Luffy's crew strikes them down easily. They're on the way to the underwater Fishman Island, but somebody is following them close behind.
Dun dun dun.
Whoa. Oh man, what's gonna happen?
Well, let's find out in chapter 604, Into the Deep. As the Straw Hats make their way towards Fishman Island, the Caribou Pirates caught up and launch an attack. The raid fails when it turns out the sea beast pulling their ship was Momu, who recognized the Straw Hats from Arlong Park. The sea beast swims away with the ship in a panic, leaving Caribou alone on the Sunny before the rest of the crew could board. They take Caribou hostage and tie him up. Nami explains the way the underwater currents work as they approach the underwater waterfall that will bring them deeper, though not all the crew is able to understand. Unfortunately, the abyss is guarded by the Kraken. Luffy decides he wants to tame it.
Momo's back.
Woo! Momu! Momu did not forget.
I knew I recognized that sea cow.
Don't want to say that poor cow can't catch a break, but man.
I've always liked Momu.
Yes.
I think he just kind of fell in with the wrong crowd. But he's got a good heart.
I think 2 for 2, he needs to, make some better decisions as far as making friends. But sometimes these things get ingrained in us. And okay, I think I'm gonna get a little more sympathetic for Momu. Y'all show me the way. Yeah.
No, Momu's the victim. He's being bullied, and they're using him. Yeah, even though he doesn't want to help them.
Yeah, sometimes you make mistakes, and yeah.
So I'm not sure if he still has like the lumps from Arlong Park, or if those are like new lumps. I feel like they're mistreating him.
Right.
They do seem like a mean crowd, so it could go either way.
I'm not sure if Momu even knows. If Momu even knows. Just keeps happening. I don't mean to make light of his plight, but I don't know. I guess it's just amazing seeing the fact that Oda brought something back from chapter 60. And of course, this is Fishman Island. We're coming back to Fishman in general, but what a way to start it off. But having such a reference to 600 chapters ago almost now.
Yeah,
it's pretty neat.
It does feel very relevant with the timing. So it is kind of nice to be like, let's tie this aspect of Arlong Park into this part of the story, because this is where Arlong came from. And we know Hachi was also involved with Arlong, and he's still being mentioned here. So it is nice to kind of have this kind of come full circle. And this is just a nice little detail to kind of set the stage for where they're going.
Totally.
Hell yeah.
Speaking of details, we get a bunch of Oda style descriptions of how the currents work here. Again, like classic Oda kind of world building, explaining the science behind this wacky world. But I think it's kind of fun how like Frankie kind of steps in and makes some metaphors, and I think Robin also gives her 2 cents, and obviously Nami's explaining how this all works, which is pretty cool. I
Yeah,
always
it's
love
like
when we get
the fun.
diagrams.
Yeah, me too. And I like when Oda explains the way his world works.
Mhm.
Yes.
So he finds like a logic. It's like, this is the basic understanding of how this works. Just accept it. It's not the same as your world, but it'll work.
Yeah.
I would
I love
respect
it.
the foundations of your world and what that led us to, but it's mine now. I'm going to
Yeah,
twist it around just as much as I want to.
right.
Yeah. I mean, I think he tells it in such a way that it does feel real and believable. Like with
Mhm.
Frankie here talking about how the currents like shift around like a dragon, and we get like an actual depiction of like a 3D depiction of the currents, and there's an actual dragon in them. I think that goes a long way in kind of giving the vibe. And I feel like
Yeah.
coming out of this, I have like a strong visual of what he's trying to get, what he's trying to get across here.
Mhm.
Yeah. So essentially,
And
there's
then,
like a surface layer that has like a certain
mhm,
current, but then when you go back past a certain point, the current goes like in the other direction. And like you're saying, like Frankie kind of gives like a description of kind of like a dragon, or like a sea serpent, or something like that, where like it flows like up and down. So it's just nice to have that kind of layout here.
it's very cool. And also leads to this amazing depiction of this like underwater waterfall, um,
Mm.
which just looks amazing. And I think another standout panel is on the next page with the Kraken. Looks so good. Looks so good. And what would a pirate story be without a Kraken? I feel like this page, I was like, oh hell yeah, like let's go. This is awesome. So I was pretty hyped. And I love that Luffy's like, let's tame it. Classic, classic
Yeah.
no fear.
So he announces, "I just got a great idea."
Right, because he just learned this information when he saw Momu pulling the other boat. It's like, oh yeah, like pirates will tame animals to pull their ships. And then the very first animal that Luffy sees is this massive ship-eating, angry Kraken, and he's like, "Yep, there it is. I've made my decision. This is our pet."
Yeah, usually when Luffy has a good idea, it's not a good thing. It's like, oh no, he's got ideas
This is
again. That's
true.
dangerous.
Yeah.
And Caribou kind of gives us a little indication of that, saying, "No, I've never heard of anything like this." And Luffy says, "Shut up. This is my friend now.
It's like, oh,
This is
you must
my
be new around here.
yeah." It's also, I think I like the way that Oda uses scale in this spread too, because we spend this chapter, or sorry, this spread with the Kraken showing how small the one ship is compared to it, and then showing how much the Sunny is even compared to that one ship, let alone the Kraken itself. The page before, it's showing, okay, this is how small the waterfall is, and then and this is when Oda finds says, okay, no, Luffy's head is going to be huge in this one frame. I think the contrast there just sells that no, Luffy is literally larger than life. It does not matter. He does not care how big
Mhm.
something is. He's no, this is I have an idea and I'm gonna do it. He really highlights that here.
Yeah.
I do also really enjoy the gag of Nami trying to explain the the different temperatures of the islands and how that's gonna affect the currents itself
Mhm.
beyond Frankie's cool dragon explanation. Just Luffy and Zoro going back. It's like, or now he's saying, "Are you really sure you want to hear about the salinity of the ocean?" And it's just Luffy and Zoro like, "Yeah, I used to play with salinity a lot when I was a kid. I want to get one of those salinity swords someday." And they even get Chopper and Usopp, who are genuinely interested, who are about to take notes on the salinity of the ocean, into their pace. It's so nice to have these crew interactions again.
Yeah.
After them being
Mhm.
gone so long, it's that's the kind of thing that I missed about this insane little family so much.
Yeah, it's a nice way to kind of remind us, like, that they're still the same characters that they were before.
Yeah.
Oh, like, they didn't really mature that much. Uh, yeah, so they like, resort back to, like, "Oh, it's a mystery current, okay."
Yeah.
But for the line that you mentioned where Luffy said that he used to play with, Salinity all the time when I was a kid,
Yeah.
you think he, like, think that's, like, somebody's name or something?
I I'm not sure. I was wondering if could be a translation thing here too, or if there was like a pun. I guess thinking it was Japanese
That's what
for his
I was trying
name.
to find out too. I couldn't find anything about this. So, yeah, I wasn't sure if there's some kind of, like, pun that was here or, like, if that was, like, the intention, yeah, or if it was just like, "Oh, like, I just knew, like, a Serenity when I was a kid." Like, somebody named Serenity.
Oh, I'm just
Uh-oh.
seeing the A now. Never even noticed that. I thought it was like saying, yeah, I used to play with, like mud and sticks all the time. I thought it was like that kind of thing. Like, yeah.
I don't think he knows what the definition is, so
Well, yes,
Yeah.
yes,
yeah.
which is what makes it so funny. But I guess
Yeah.
I thought it was like, yeah, this is just a random thing. Everyone played with this sort of. Yeah.
Yeah, or, like, I mean, I'm sure he's just, like, talking out of his butt, but I just wasn't sure if there was, like, something specific with that line.
Yeah. No, I'm
It
with
kinda
you
stood
there.
out to me. Yeah.
I wonder. I do wonder.
Yeah, I think the joke still lands, even not having full context.
Oh, yeah, it's still funny.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't know what he means. I
Yeah.
don't think he knows what he means.
He doesn't know what he's talking about.
Which makes it kind of even better.
Yeah. Another gag that really landed for me in this chapter was Caribou's boarding of the Sunny.
Oh, yeah.
When he jumps on, he's like, "Let's kill them all," and then silence, and there's just no one behind. It's just Caribou. He was the only one who boarded the ship before Momo took off. Um, I thought that was a hilarious moment, and we get a classic
Yeah.
like eyeballs popping out of his head, tongue sticking out, realization face,
Yeah.
which Oda has perfected. So
Mhm.
pretty great,
He just tossed around like a
pretty
rag
great
doll.
moment. Yeah, immediately put in his place. He like loses all confidence and is immediately like, "Oh no, not me, please."
Yeah, so he's not really a serious threat.
Yeah.
Like, we saw, like, how cruel he was before, but when it comes down to it, he's not really, like, a big shot.
Yeah, the Straw Hats are not treating this very seriously.
Yeah, they barely acknowledge his existence, like
Yeah,
Hey, you guys got anything else for this one?
I'm
No.
good.
Alright, let's move right along. Chapter 605, The Kraken and the Pirates. Luffy tries to figure out how to go about taming the Kraken when the Caribou pirates catch up again. Caribou's rescue is dashed when the Kraken smashes their ship. When the monster trio gets ready to attack, Frankie explains they can't all attack without bursting the coating, so they apply a bubble around each of them so they can go out into the sea. The Strats use their new powers to defend the Sunny, and Luffy punches the Kraken, knocking it out. As the Kraken falls, they notice a large shark swimming by wearing a shirt. As Luffy, Zoro, and Sanji try to figure out what's going on, they get sucked into the downward current with the Kraken, followed by the Sunny. The Strats on the Sunny hope their friends are okay, but now 20,000 feet deep, they can no longer see. Frankie uses his nipple lights to reveal they are surrounded by large sea creatures.
The greatest invention in the series.
Not
No,
headlights like everyone guessed,
Yeah.
but
I don't care
effective
about
all the same.
pacifistas. I don't care about under ship sea stone coating to cross the calm belt. No, nipple lights. That's progress. That's where the world's heading.
Take that,
Amazing.
Vegapunk.
Yeah.
Amazing. Yeah, right?
Show me your
That's
schematic for
innovation.
that, nerd. Sorry.
Yeah, so great.
This is a really fun chapter. I feel like everyone kind of gets to show some of their new moves. We got Frankie showing off the rocket launchers.
Mm-hmm.
We got Chopper doing a massive guard point
Yep,
to
I'm a
save the
big fan of
ship.
that.
We got we got Robin using her like making huge hands to also save the
Yeah,
ship,
that's also really cool.
which is cool because I feel like I don't know if we've ever seen her do that. We've seen her make like the big wings, but I don't know if she's made
Hmm.
like huge hands before. So that was pretty cool.
Yeah, like same
Uh,
concept, like on a bigger scale,
yeah,
because she's able to
and
like
like
make like arms sprout out of the sunny.
yeah, and like more detailed too than I would have thought. Because like before, I feel like the wings were kind of like um effective, but not like functioning hands. Like I feel like that's a step up. Um, then we also get the Luffy's elephant gun with the hardening color of arms hardening.
Hmm. Mhm.
Uh, that's new, and also like also seemingly a huge upgrade. Like we don't get full details on what exactly is happening, but um, it appears that he's able to harden his rubber Gear 3 massive fist into like a almost like iron like um, wrecking ball in this case, pretty much, uh, which has massive implications on what he can do. So this was a huge reveal and very, very cool. Very excited to see where that goes. I feel like that opens a lot of doors as
Yes, I
far
do
as
want to touch
powerful
upon that.
attacks.
So, that's a good point, and I kind of almost forgot to mention it because like I'm just so used to it at this point. It kind of like went like over my head, but Oda is now starting to give a physical representation of hockey, and
Yeah.
this is kind of his way of showing that. So when Luffy says "color of arms hardening," he's using the armament hockey, but we can see a visual representation. So I was almost kind of like Oda's like in the reader's mind. Now that we're aware of hockey, we can see it. So that's my like kind of headcanon for why like you don't see it before when people were using hockey,
Hmm.
but now we do see it. Um, but there is now this visual representation to make it easier to see. Oh, this person is using hockey.
Mhm.
Gotcha. That makes things clear for
Yeah.
sure. Did they do that in the anime? Is there like visual representation of hockey in this sense where this one's like the colors has changed completely here?
Yeah, so they do the same thing in the anime too.
Hmm.
So essentially, when they coat themselves with the armament hockey, it's like a black coating.
Okay. So it actually is manifesting in like a literal way.
Yeah, so it's a visible thing, like at least to the audience. I'm not sure if it's something that's something that they can see in universe or not.
Interesting.
But it's just a style that Oda's done. I think maybe for to make it easier for the reader to recognize this concept.
Yeah. I
That's
think of it
cool. I mean,
like
it looks great.
yeah. I think of it like the sword techniques in Demon Slayer. It's like
Okay.
they're just sword fighting, but like for us, it's the stylized version of this tells us like yeah. I think of it like that kind of.
It's like
I think that's a
embellishment for the reader.
Yeah,
good
yeah,
connection there.
yeah.
Yeah, I like that.
But another thing to note though is that Luffy doesn't have the side effects of Gear 3.
Yes.
He's not turning into Mini Luffy anymore.
Right.
I did enjoy Mini Loop.
Also big. I know. Mini Leaf was pretty great, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was fine, but it's nice to see that he's progressed.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good for him.
Yep. He has made some leaps and bounds. And speaking of leaps and bounds, we got Sanji doing Blue Walk, which is
Yeah.
kind of like the CP9 like moonwalk,
Yeah,
Mhm.
but this is like an underwater dash. Very cool.
yeah, good connection there.
And I also love that he does the Diable Jam. Sorry,
Yeah.
Diable Jambe. Is that right?
Yeah,
Yeah, it's over
I think
John.
either way, yeah,
Yeah.
Diablo Jam.
Uh,
Do not speak
Diable
French.
Jambe. Grill shot, which looks hilarious. I love that there's actual like grill marks on this octopus tentacle when he does the kick. So Sanji too. Like I
Yeah.
feel like that works perfectly with Sanji's character and is awesome. Um, and then we also get Zoro doing the uh crossing the sixth paths, and he kind of just like minces up one of the tentacles.
Yeah, it looks like he cuts into like 6.
Yep, that's pretty cool. Pretty cool. So he's like double cutting with like each sword, seemingly.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if they do this, if they're slicing up tentacles and doing the grill shot, like they could compete with Hachi's takoyaki shop, some grilled octopus here. I know they would never work together, but they would make a good combination here. But yeah, I think that's all the cool new moves we got.
Yeah.
But I think it was kind of fun to see them all, like everyone kind of showing off their new moves and kind of showing their progress. And I mean, especially Luffy, I think that's probably the biggest jump in power that we've seen
Yeah.
so far.
But it is important to know that they are now out in the ocean, and yeah, Luffy, Zoro, and Sanji seem to have been dragged away.
Yeah. Particularly scary for Luffy, who is a devil fruit user.
Mm-hmm.
And
He's doing pretty well underwater, all things considered.
yeah, you could say that again. He just one punched a Kraken in the face. No small feat.
Mm-mm.
Oh, and what's up with the random shark with a t-shirt? Where did he come from?
That's a good question. Yeah, I was trying to figure out like if he was like under something that got moved, or if the Kraken had something, because he just kind of like shows up.
Yeah.
It doesn't look like I was kind of thinking it's almost like a Kami and Papu situation where
Mm-hmm.
like they freed the shark from the
Right.
Kraken.
Right.
I just like the shark might have been like swimming by, and they just like, oh, look at that shark, just like with the t-shirt, and then he gets kind of scared by the Kraken and swims away.
Is it a Papagoo? It is a Papagoo t-shirt, is it? Is it not?
It is, yeah. He's wearing
Yep.
Crimin. A criminal.
Heaven. Wow.
Nice.
Nice. Oh, I also do love on the last page, or no, sorry, not the last page, but when they're getting sucked down and the waterfall, everyone's freaking out, but Luffy's got this huge smile on his face, like he's enjoying this plummet to possible imminent death very much.
The person who should be the most concerned, he was
The
just, like,
person
having a
who
good
should be
time.
the most concerned, yes, is having a blast. Along for the ride.
Hey, we got anything else on this one?
I honestly really love the illustration on the final spread. Just how much fun Oda's having, just drawing the Midnight Zone and all the weird deep sea fish. It
Yeah,
just
looks so good.
Yeah, I think he just kind of cooked with that one. It's
Yeah,
just
great.
whimsical and just like terrifying enough, where I don't
Yeah,
want
it's
to
a
be
cool
there, but I
effect.
want to see what there is.
Really splurged with all that black ink.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, right.
And I love it. It looks great.
Well, I'm wondering if it was like a page that like started black, because like they also have those pages too where you go black and then like you add like white to it,
Mm.
or if he just inked it in that much black.
I was wondering if it was like a just a big sheet of screen tone that he had
Could also
scratched
be something like
away to
that
get
too.
the whiter part.
I don't know.
But it's a cool effect. However he achieved it, I think it's really cool looking.
Let's send him into SBS about a panel he drew 12 years ago.
Let's
Like
do
for all we know,
it.
it could come up as an SBS question.
For real, it could.
Honestly.
Yeah, you're
I
right.
feel like that's been happening a lot where it's like we have these things that come up and it actually does end up being an SBS question.
This is true.
Yeah, we asked really good questions here.
I guess so.
Good job, team.
Okay, you guys get to move on?
Yeah.
Good.
Moving on to chapter 606, Deep Sea Adventure. The Strats manage to evade the sea creatures. Brook notices that Caribou is gone, unsure if he is hiding somewhere or fell off the ship. Frankie finds him creeping in the barrel and nails it shut. they notice an undersea volcano is about to erupt. They prepare to evacuate, but are attacked by another large fish. Out of desperation, Frank uses a coup de burst, even though it will shrink their coating. Suddenly, they notice a massive person who punches the fish, admonishing it for attacking ships, which will make Captain Vanderdecken angry. The Strats hear singing, then they see the approaching ghost ship, the Flying Dutchman. Vanderdecken orders the large man, Watsumi, to smash the ship and take their treasure. They're out of fuel and aren't able to use another coup de burst. Thankfully, Luffy has tamed the Kraken, naming it Tsurume, and orders it to punch Watsumi before he can smash the Sunny. Luffy, Zoro, and Sanji safely return to the Sunny. They hear a rumble as Nami notices the volcano is about to erupt.
Ooh.
It's a wild chapter, huh?
I do appreciate what Caribou is lending here, comedy-wise.
Yeah.
Just honestly, just the panel of Frankie finding him being like, "You there?"
Yeah.
That
Really?
legitimately made me laugh out loud.
Yes.
So good.
The way
He's,
it was
like,
drawn was
poking
perfect.
out. Yeah, he's like poking out like all creepily, and like he's having like this inner like monologue. Meanwhile, Frankie's just like staring at him, like
Frankie's
this guy's just chilling here, like thinking to himself. All right. Yeah, it's perfect.
Notably, Frankie also mentions that Caribou is made of mud, potentially, or what looked like mud. So
Okay.
early theories forming.
That might be his devil fruit.
One of us. One of us.
I'd be bummed if I ate a double fruit and was like, "Yep, you're made of mud now. Enjoy."
Well, he seems to be making the most of it, so
Yeah.
yeah, it's just like it's hard to tell it's mud because of the lack of color.
Right.
Because he does look like goopy, but without the brown color, it's hard to tell it's mud until Frankie says it looks like mud.
Right.
I feel like Oda probably want to keep it a little ambiguous for these 10
Yeah.
chapters until we get the reveal.
Yeah, he could have like revealed it like right away.
Yeah.
You just kind of held back a little bit.
Aside from this specific situation where the shipwright who can seal up the barrel finds out and then fully locks you in, it does seem like a cool application of it. Just be able to hide wherever you want. I think it's a very stupid power, but he is finding a pretty interesting way to use it, which I like.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, if I ate a double fruit and I was told you're made of rubber now, I'd also be like, "Ah, man." But we've seen what Luffy has done with that. So
Yeah.
it's what you make of it. It's what you
Yeah.
make of it.
It really is.
I also wonder if like he was like in the dirt somewhere, if he could just kind of blend in, whereas like you can't really tell he's there anymore. He can just turn to like a puddle of mud.
Oh yeah.
On a ship, he can't really hide that well because it's like, oh, there he is. He's the mud.
True. Maybe we'll find out later. Maybe we never find out.
Who knows?
I think this is another just like visually awesome chapter. Like even from the jump with this like jellyfish and this dark undersea fish chomping down on it. And then we get this really cool panel with the angler fish.
That's a cool panel.
Yeah.
I just feel like I don't know. Oda's in a groove. Like I just feel like everything looks really good, especially like in this really contrasty, like deep sea kind of vibe. Looks so good. And then we get this awesome Kraken KO punch here. It's like this, which is so fun. I feel like it's just kind of this like underwater like kaiju clash with these like massive sea creatures like going punch for punch. It's such a fun. It's like how did we get here? But this is very cool.
It's gonna be
And
the
of course,
next in the Kong, Godzilla versus Kong franchise.
yeah,
Tsume versus Watatsumi.
so good. Yeah,
I mean, to your
of course,
credit,
Luffy tamed it.
He did it.
He did it, of course, obviously.
Cody?
I was gonna say, to Evan's credit, with like the groove Oda's in, like I feel like he's been just as excited to explore this setting as we have been to finally get there.
Mhm.
So being able to draw all his wacky shit is, I think, his own reward too.
Hmm.
And so
Yeah.
I feel like you can tell just how much he's enjoying it.
And it's fun leaning into these like classic pirate tropes too, with like the Kraken, and we get the Flying Duchess, like this ghost underwater ship, which I'm not super familiar with, but I know there is some actual lore there with the Flying Duchess because I've definitely heard of that before.
Yeah, I think
Um,
he must be a SpongeBob fan.
yep,
Yep.
that's where it's from.
Yeah,
I
SpongeBob
knew
came up
I,
with that, right?
First ever
I knew I,
reference.
yeah,
First reference since 2000. Stephen Hillenberg.
was written in the annals of history.
But they seem to be aware of the legends of the Flying Dutchman here,
Yeah,
and Captain Vanderdecken. But yeah, this is a really cool reveal of the Flying Dutchman because it looks like it's seen better days. They refer to it as a ghost ship. It looks like just like that, a ghost ship.
exactly that. Yep,
And then of course
very
Brooks afraid. He's like, a ghost ship. It was something. Why are you scared?
uh, so good.
And then the terrified faces that like Usopp, Nami, and Chopper have. Again, like another cool use of like the shading style that Oda's been using
Mhm.
Mhm.
for these chapters. Like it just kind of gives like that like look of horror. Oh, kind of in Throw Bark too, like the same type of like
Yes,
Yeah.
the harsh
way of
shadow.
conveying that. Yeah.
Yeah,
I feel like it's right on the noses, the under eyes. He did that specific application a lot in Thriller Bark.
Right.
yeah, but it's perfect because it portrays exactly that, like the utter shock and extreme horror, like really well.
Yep.
Like I feel like we don't have to look too hard at that image to know exactly what he's trying to portray, and I love that. I think that's good storytelling.
And it leads perfectly into Brooks' reaction and then exposition of it too. So it's just
Mhm.
seamless.
Yeah, it is cool, like how you are exposed to these different techniques through different arcs that we've covered, and you just become more and more familiar with like Oda's storytelling style, and you just like pick up on things easier, and it's like you get better and better at reading what he's trying to write. Like his
Mhm.
storytelling becomes familiar to you, and it's like you don't have to look at a panel as long because you can pick everything out of it right away, clearly and concisely, and then keep on moving, which is cool. I think that's kind of like a cool thing like that you don't really get in other mediums. Um, that's the fun of telling story with pictures, I guess. It's cool.
Yeah, for sure. And then
Full
like the panel
language.
layouts and everything, and like how things are divided and split up, and like I think it's really interesting when that is part of the storytelling.
Yeah. And on top of that, like the lore that he builds as well, especially with like those depictions and like the extra attention to detail he puts into like explaining how something works mechanically, so that like I mean, we'll get to it later, even later in this chapter, but like with how the bubbles are working, and how we learned about those on Saboti, and like how those work mechanically and are like used in the like technology of this world. And then we're going to kind of see more of that later in this volume, but even here with Luffy, Sanji, and Zoro all in a little ball together, which is just another amazing panel of them just like floating safely back. Um, yeah, good stuff.
Apparently, Zoro canonically showers once a week, so that has to be a very time in that bubble. That's all I'm gonna say there. It's their first day seeing you in 2 years as well. So like any immunity they had is just gone.
Well, it's right. Luffy is in the middle of them, so that way there's like a little bit of
Sure, sure,
that
sure.
barrier.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just like hilarious that like two of them managed to burst their bubbles, and now they have to share a bubble on the way back.
It's like their one shared brain cell.
Very symbolic.
Yes. Yes.
All right, you guys get to move on.
Let's do it.
Yep.
All right, chapter 607, 30,000 feet under the sea. Both the Kraken and Wadasumi ran away from the volcano, pulling their respective ships. They approach a trench and jump down. As the magma rocks threaten to rain down on the Sunny, Usopp shoots his plants, creating seaweed to act like a roof above them. It doesn't hold long, and one of the rocks makes it through, hitting Tsurume in the head, knocking him out. They fall to 30,000 feet under the sea, which is surprising because it's bright down here. They look toward the source of the light and see they have made it to Fishman Island, surrounded by a massive bubble. They hear a voice shout at the Kraken for obeying humans. The Strats look and find themselves confronted by several massive sea beasts, some being ridden by members of the new Fishman pirates. One of the fishmen, Hammond, offers to have the Strats join them for helping Hachi attacking the Celestial Dragons, though if they refuse, they will sink them right now. Frankie and Usopp make preparations to refuel, anticipating Luffy's answer. Luffy responds, telling him, "No way, moron."
Yeah. Stick it to him.
Zing.
A lot of really nice contrast in this chapter. Just the dark I guess the dark ocean floor of this volcanic area, and then the great lighting of the volcanic eruption, and then once we get to Fishman Island, it's just so radiant. Little lens flares,
Yeah,
sunbeam.
this all looks so good. All this under the sea, like visual representation, has been really awesome.
Yeah,
And the first look at Fishman Island is stunning. Like that's such a cool. I like the angle, kind of like looking up at this like floating orb. It's like its own little world floating at the bottom of the ocean. It's really cool.
Yeah,
yeah.
they finally made it.
They're here, man.
Yeah,
I do remember what I wanted to say earlier was I appreciate that Oda took the time to take several chapters for this journey. I mean, first of all, it is 30,000 feet under the sea, so it is like a big distance. So I'm
Mhm.
glad that Oda took all time to kind of show, it's a dangerous journey that I had to make without like taking too long to establish it. But it was fun to use that space to explore what's under the ocean, show different aspects. So he kind of like was able to show quite a lot in a short period of time. So I like that we had like a few chapters of that. So while there wasn't like a lot of major story stuff happening, it was a fun exploration way and like that sense of adventure that I think is such a great thing about One Piece and showing what kind of like wondrous things that they can see and what kind of dangerous things are like under the water that we haven't seen before.
Could not
absolutely.
agree more. Yeah.
Yeah, like we were saying with all like these beautiful panels and stuff. I feel like you're saying, it's just like we have to get from point A to B. How do we do that in the most interesting way? And I think
Hmm.
and like efficient way as well. And I think Oda does a great job of that. And we also get to kind of see everyone's um, progression in their skill set. We get to see Usopp's green star in this chapter,
Yep.
which is awesome and very effective. Like we're finally um, seeing some progress with that as well. He didn't hit those rocks with a spicy pepper ball.
Yeah.
you know
True.
this is like this really cool like web, almost like a web of like grow like what is it,
Like
seaweed.
seaweed, yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, that, like slows down the rocks, so the perfect time to give them an opportunity to escape. So Usopp's pulling his weight. Yeah, I think it was a brief but fun journey to the bottom
Yeah.
of the ocean.
Usopp also didn't get like a big attack in like 2 chapters ago when they were facing
Yeah,
off against Tsurume. So it's nice seeing Usopp, I guess, just taking naturally to a support role. We're like, oh, this is my niche.
yeah.
We're gonna have so much trouble with that before. It's like, yeah, man, self-actualization. Look at you go. You save the day when it's time to. Look at you. I'm so proud.
It's true. I mean, he spent the past few chapters like being terrified and freaking out and being scared, but then when it came down to it and their life was on the line, he pulls through.
Sure.
thought on his feet and was able to like get everybody out of a bind. So
Yeah.
Yeah, he had that seaweed ready to go.
he did. He did. That was smart. It was
And also,
heroic.
like, I liked how when Surume's running away, instead of swimming, so like we see like
Yes.
the arms like with the tentacles.
Doesn't someone point out that it's awkward? Like,
Yeah.
was it Robin? Maybe. Who said it?
Yeah, it is Robin. Yeah.
Yeah, I love like
So
Robin's like
funny.
little
It's like,
remarks.
yes.
Wait, I'm looking above that. Is Sanji wearing a sash made of pictures of Nami and Robin around his chest?
Yeah. And it's not just that. It's not just that panel.
I'm just
Which
noticing
panel?
that. The second page of the chapter where it's Wadatsumi, the anglerfish, and Surume running. If you look at the top panel of that chapter on the left-hand side, it's got a whole like sash of pictures.
Oh yeah. So yeah, that's like Chopper's rehabilitation for him.
Oh, right. Thank you. I forgot about that.
Yeah, I did not notice that though.
I read it 2 days ago, I forgot.
Oh, that's
Amazing.
funny. I feel like we see it earlier or maybe later again because I do remember like seeing that in my first read through and being like, "What?"
Right.
Maybe it's
Yeah, see,
after this.
like I love like the little details are just thrown in there. It's like if you catch it, it's great. But if you miss it, like yeah, you're not gonna miss like the story, but it's like it's fun for people to pick up on those little details. And that's just something that I completely overlooked and did not even notice at all.
Samesies.
Yeah. So cool.
That's a nice catch.
I guess on the subject of Sanji, real quick, there have been a couple instances earlier in the volume that I guess weren't worth mentioning at the time, but we're definitely getting more and more of the Sanji simping gag,
Mhm.
which
Yeah.
and I think in this case there are a couple times where it's genuinely funny.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think I think even the one in this chapter where it's so overblown, where he's saying, "I'd rather bleed to death than about with my dream unfulfilled." That's great.
Yeah.
It gets. I think there are certain instances where I'm like, okay, we get it. Just don't beat the dead horse. But Oda's towing a fine line at this point in the arc. I just want to
Yeah.
bring that up quick.
Yeah, I agree that is a moment I did think was funny where like he has that like that renewed sense of like resolve where he's like on fire and he's like kind of like getting his act together a little bit.
Yeah.
Uh yeah, so that happened like a few instances. I didn't want to like, like I said, be a dead horse and there will be more moments. Um but there are some times where it is actually funny.
Yeah.
And I like how like dramatic it is too, where he's like laying on the ground with the nosebleed. And like the way that like Oda drew Sanji's face in that panel where he says like I'd rather bleed to death, they call him a freak. Yeah. So I did think that little sequence was pretty funny. And then we encounter the new Fishman pirates,
And their noble steeds.
noble steeds.
Really
Yeah,
cool.
this pack of sea beasts, so cool. Creatively, I think the just like the creature design here is top marks.
Yeah.
Super fun. Super fun.
Yeah, that
And
was
Luffy's reaction
pretty
is like,
threatening.
"Whoa, those are awesome!" with a huge smile on his face, with all of these like terrifying beasts staring angrily at him.
Yeah, so the main one that we are introduced to here is Hammond. And we do see he has the mark of Arlong tattooed on his neck.
Yep.
And then he also has another tattoo, which is the mark of the new Fishman pirates, where it has like the sun. And there's a human with their head cut off.
Yep.
It kind of gives you an indication like how they feel about humans.
Yeah, no subtlety in that tattoo.
But they seem to be giving Luffy a little bit of an exception. Like, hey, even though you're human, we think you're pretty cool. We know that you beat up Arlong, like that wasn't cool, but you did some other things. You helped Hachi and you punched that celestial dragon, so we respect you a little bit. Like, we'll go easy on you if you want to, join a crew. Yeah, we'll accept that. But if you don't, then we'll kill you. And we know Luffy's response before he says it.
Yeah.
There's no way
Which
Luffy's
I
gonna take that
love.
deal.
Yeah, I love how I love how the crew takes action before Luffy's answer.
Yeah.
They're already acting accordingly before Luffy gives his response, which just shows their deep understanding of each other, which is awesome.
Yeah.
Right.
So nice.
So nice. Just a really nice moment.
And I actually just noticed this panel too, at the bottom right, where Nami sees the Arlong tattoo and she has this like look on her face, like
Hmm.
it's kind of bringing back like those painful memories for her.
Yep.
I will say it feels like the panels are getting denser. Or the
Mhm.
pages are getting denser. I'd say there's more panels, more of these little blink and you miss it moments. I feel like he's starting to fit more in the chapters. And that may have been something that's built up over time, but it's feeling especially evident now.
No,
Well,
I agree with that, and I think you are pointing out like at exactly when it's happening. I think it is a new trend that's been happening here specifically,
Okay.
since like the time skip. Because I feel like Marineford in particular, we had like these big panels where he like there was like some small panels here and there, but like a lot of it was like let's show the scale and the scope. But it does kind of feel like these chapters are getting a lot more dense, and I feel like it took me longer to read like these like few chapters because I feel like there's more content being covered and there's more to read. So I do think he's actually cramming in more uh, with at this point in the story.
which makes sense as we now have this huge swath of knowledge and history now. Like you said, with that just one panel of the tattoo and Nami's reaction, like that brings us all the way back to the Arlong arc and all of these emotions and everything that happened and like the significance of that tattoo and her ties with that very specific tattoo, and like her journey with that and how symbolic that is. So I feel like, um, he drops in these little nuggets that just like have so much meaning because we've been with the story for so long and we know exactly what she's thinking when she looks at that tattoo,
Right. And he doesn't need to
which
use
is so
like
cool.
words to express that
Right.
either.
Yeah, it's
Yep.
exactly what Evan was saying earlier.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good point.
Hey, you guys got anything else?
I'm good.
All right, let's move on to the next chapter. Chapter 608, Underwater Paradise. The sun uses a coup de burst, using up the last of the air as the ship shoots through the layers of the bubbles to get into Fishman Island. The inner bubble is filled with water, sending the strats in all directions, away from the Sunny. Hammond decides they should confirm if the strats are dead, but first they should report to their boss at Noah, to let him know that the strat Luffy is here. Luffy, Usopp, Sanji, and Chopper wake up at the Mermaid Cafe after being found by some mermaids. They're happy to see a familiar face and reunite with Kami, who works at the cafe. She offers them some cold soup to help warm them up, before realizing that doesn't help. She introduces them to the Guppy Mermaid quintuplets. Kami offers to bring them up to meet her friends and take an undersea lift. Sanji is so happy to meet some mermaids, managing to keep his nosebleed under control. The mermaids notice the barrel that washed up with the Straw Hats and wonder what's in it. Meanwhile, Hammond meets with his boss, who orders him to bring Luffy to him.
It's Kami, another familiar face.
Well, they officially made it to Fishman Island.
Officially.
Well played.
Oh man.
Yeah, but to get there, they did have to use up the last for the coating, which I like the detail that they had to use like the air um, to like to use the coup de burst, so they couldn't just like use it like willy nilly.
Mhm.
And then like we see it's like pressing down on them because like they're pretty much ready to burst, and then they get through the water, and then like the coating comes off. Now they're all just spread around, so we don't even know what happened to some of the Straw Hats. We just have the small group here that we kind of catch up with and see what's up with them.
Yeah, I was not expecting this. It took me like a little bit of analyzing to like figure out exactly what happened here. But yeah, they kind of just like rushed into this without kind of like they're making a quick escape and like didn't really consider that like how this city is functioning on this like massive bubble. And so the way I'm reading it is they launched themselves at it, they pierce through the first bubble, which ends up removing their coating,
Mhm.
and they're in like an open air space, and then they
Mhm.
continue on into the second layer, which is underwater. So they go from being in an open air layer directly into underwater, and
Yeah.
then they find themselves in big trouble because now they're just like uncoated and under in the middle of water.
Yep.
Yeah,
Salt
that's
water
right.
specifically.
Yeah, I do think like for a first time reader, I feel like this sequence is a little unclear and confusing, but I think it's essentially saying that there's like a bubble inside the other bubble where there's like it's almost like normal. Like there's like air inside this middle bubble too, but they went into the part that was like the ocean part. There's like an ocean that's in like Mermaid Island. So I think they went to like an ocean part of the inner bubble.
Right.
So if they were higher up, they probably would have been in the air, but I think they went low. So they ended up in the water portion.
Yeah.
So that's why I was reading it.
That's how I read it as well. It just happened like so quick, and it was such an extreme thing, like
Yeah.
they went from being fine to drowning very quickly, and that was obviously not intended. But yeah, finding themselves in a very bad situation. They got a lot of Delta Fruit users, four of
Yeah.
them.
But yeah, luckily they're found by some mermaids.
Yeah, some little adorable mermaids.
They're so funny.
So funny.
Let's see, Joel, do you know if their speech patterns are reference to something in Japan?
I don't know if there's like something in particular. Like they all have like their own pattern of saying, like they have like a role that they say like in response to everything. But I don't know if there's like some kind of like well known like joke or something like that, or like story where this is like a thing where it's like people respond this way, see no evil, hear no evil kind of thing. Like
Like the
Yeah.
seven
something like
dwarves.
that. Yeah, something like that. But they do have the naming convention,
Mm.
essentially where their names are like 1, 2, 3, 4,
Mhm.
and 4, 2.
That's pretty great.
Although I'm not sure if Yonka 2's name is actually Gonka or if it's Yonka 2.
I'm gonna believe that it's Yonka too, just because it's funny.
Oh, Goka. It should be Goka.
Yeah.
Right.
And they're like, shouldn't this be whatever? Okay. I still love the sea turtle elevator. Gives me
Yeah.
Mhm.
brings me back to Water 7 where they had the water vader. I forget the term they use there, but it's nice seeing the natural
Yeah.
evolution of that.
Aquavator.
Aqua Vader. I love it. Actually,
They
there's
Yeah.
have like
So
a little, oh, sorry, go ahead.
I was gonna say, I just realized it's kind of similar to Water 7, given the fact that everything's built on top of each other.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
not necessarily to avoid Aqua Laguna because they are underwater and that works for them, but just structurally, it's kind of cool. I never thought about that before.
And we get these cool like tunnels that are built
Mm.
for travel, which is so cool. Also, our little mermaids are kind of floating up, have these like little bubble inflator tubes,
Yeah.
Yeah.
so they can kind of like float around, which is awesome. Yeah,
Yeah,
I
and this
love
kind of
this.
gives like Kami like a little like opportunity to explain how like the districts are kind of set up a little bit here. How they ask like if Papagu like lives with her, but she lives like in these apartments in this part of the town. But she says like Papagu, even though like Papagu's like her pet, he lives in like a mansion in Fishville Hills.
Hell yeah.
So the pet has like his own
Awesome.
mansion, and Kami's over here living like in these apartments.
Oh man, pretty great.
Then we're introduced to Kami's mermaid friends here, which is Sanji's dream.
Yeah,
Hmm. And they like him.
Yeah.
They like
yeah.
him. I'm like, okay, okay, I love this. I love this for them. This is great.
Yep.
Everyone's having a great time.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah,
Seems like a
they
great
seem to kind
place.
of like the bad boy pirates. They came in through illegally, apparently.
Mm.
So we didn't know there's a legal way to come through. It's kind of like Sky Island. But yeah, they shot through like the border, but there was a proper entrance that they could have gone through, but they didn't take it because they were just trying to get away from the new fishermen pirates. Um,
I
but
think
yeah,
we do get a. Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to
go ahead.
interrupt.
No, that was it.
I was going to say, I think we do get a view of the actual entrance when we see Fishman Island for the first time. There does seem to be like this big circular, like kind of gateway
Yeah,
built
that's
in.
what I was thinking too. I think that might be like the official entrance that they could have gone through.
Yeah,
Mm. That makes
they
sense.
didn't have time to go through customs.
It's like they go right below the gate because they're pirates.
Yeah.
Look, there's the entrance. Let's go over here. Cody, I want to ask you your opinion here because Sanji says, "I finally found it, the all blue." Do you think he's saying that like as a joke?
This is like right where the line is towed for me. It's not him being genuine. It's definitely hyperbole, but it's a hyperbole that comes at the expense of you're treating like your dream as if it's just this flippant thing. And for me, that's where. So like what once so we have if we have still situations like him saying you want the clear fruit and thriller bark,
Mhm.
that's like one version of this where I'm like, this doesn't do it for me. But then it's okay if it starts encroaching on like everything that we've established Sanji to be and like everything that we love about him at the expense of the joke. It's not on the same level of cringe or like it's character assassination, but it's like it's just like a little much. I don't think you need to go that far. I think there's another way we could have done it. Like I think like literally, I just like if you just had the panel before of Sanji crying, and we'd be like, man, you cried more than we left Barache. That's hilarious. That's really funny. But then we all were like, oh, okay, now you took it up to 11 when you didn't need to.
So like
That's also just my taste for it. I think so, and I could also be reading more into it. But I don't know if everyone's going to share that opinion at the same time.
yeah, I agree. I think it's kind of more like him saying almost like, "Oh man, I found heaven."
Yeah.
It's like I don't think you literally found heaven. It's just like this
Right.
is. So I think he's just kind of using all blue as almost like this is like the peak. This is like what I've been looking for, but not like
Yeah.
legitimate. Like, oh, this is the actual all blue that I believe exists.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
then Usopp makes the comment, "So your quest is over, Sanji." So like I don't know if he's kind of like poking at like fun at him or if he's like legitimately like questioning him. Like
I feel like it's like the same. It's like so. Really?
like really, your dream's over. Like
Yeah. I feel like he
this
has
is your
the same,
dream.
maybe I'm projecting. I feel like he has like kind of the same reaction I do. He's like, really, dude? Like, it's not that deep. No pun intended. But yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know if there's like an argument to be made that like if this is like him like seriously like declaring that or if this is just purely a joke. I'm leaning more towards that, but I wasn't sure if you guys were reading it the same way.
I think he's just being melodramatic.
I agree. I'm agreeing with both of you. I think like it's a quick way for him to say, I'm good. I'm going to stay here forever. I don't need to. My quest is over. I found it. This is heaven. I think it's more of a joke, just
Okay.
like to represent how elated he is.
Yeah. It is, but I do find the bottom panel very funny, where like this beautiful mermaid takes his hand, he's like, "Hey, come here," and he's like, "I can't enjoy this. I'm gonna die. It's too good to be true."
It's too good.
Yeah, like that. Hilarious, hilarious.
Yeah, a lot of the comedy for me for Sanji's like developments here is the physical comedy of it too. Because like Oda does like these very like humorous, like very dramatic things with Sanji,
Yeah,
and the way like he's drawing him, and I do find that part funny.
yeah.
Like
I agree.
regardless of our opinions on like the overall gag, I do think there are like little like moments of like humor in it that is like that works for me too.
I mean, I think that is what make all my favorite moments of this gag funny. I think it is the way he draws them adds so much to it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think you're right on the money there.
I think they're like two different conversations. Like, I think the gag works. Like, I think the gag is funny, and I think everything he's done to get us to where we are with this gag has been funny. And
Mm.
I think, like, we've had the debate of whether we think the gag is the direction we wanted that character to go in, and I think those are like two different conversations. You know,
There's a
Fair.
very
like
very
I think the gag works. The gag's funny.
yeah. It's just how far does Oda go with it? That's my only thing. I think in
Right.
essence, like this is peak comedy. This is a perfect setup. It's just like sometimes it hits me, sometimes it doesn't. That's really all it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. But everything
And then
seems
we
great except for
sorry,
this.
go ahead.
I was just to say everything seems like it's working out for them, and they find this barrel, and nothing can possibly go wrong. If you get someone else, I don't want to impede you.
No, I was just gonna say at the end of the chapter, we have this pretty ominous looking panel of this character saying that they want Luffy to be brought to him.
Hmm.
So Luffy's already kind of made an
Sure do.
enemy before they even got here.
Very ominous silhouette, which reminds me of Arlong. Like, I must admit, like, I think that this face looks slightly familiar.
Sharp
Mm,
nose, teeth.
Yeah, just kind of
Yep.
like the face shape and the teeth and the pointy nose.
like similar build to Arlong, maybe compared to like some of the
Yeah,
other fishmen that look, drastically
maybe
different.
maybe a relative.
Yeah,
Maybe.
one way to find out.
We also get a name drop for a location called Noah Fishman District. That's really all we get, but I can't help but notice a massive like arc and Noah. So like, I wonder if there's like some sort of like biblical reference there with like Noah and the ark.
I think that's very likely.
Could be.
Seems a bit
Maybe
on the
that's why they have
nose.
all these different sea beasts.
Um,
Oh.
All right, you guys got anything else before we move on to the last chapter?
no.
I'm good.
Okay, so let's wrap things up with chapter 609, Adventure on Fishman Island. Luffy tells the mermaids that he wants to meet up with Jinbei, but Kami tells him that he isn't here anymore. After leaving the warlords, he wasn't allowed to stay here, as he was one of the former Fishman pirates. Kami suddenly tells the pirates to hide when she sees the royal gondola approaching, worried that they would be captured for entering the island illegally. The three princes, Fukaboshi, Mamboshi, and Ryuboshi, approach, asking if the Straw Hats were here. The mermaids deny that they saw anybody. Figuring the border patrol was mistaken, they prepare to leave, but Sanji is not able to hold his nosebleed in any longer, shooting a geyser of blood into the air. As the guards approach, Chopper pleads for someone to donate blood so Sanji doesn't die. Hammond and the new fisherman pirates approach, mocking them for requesting blood, since it's been outlawed to mix human and fishman blood, blaming humans for the death of Fisher Tiger. He explains that after Fisher Tiger saved slaves, both fishman and human, humans refused to give blood to him to save his life, and he died. He tells them that their captain, Hoodie Jones, has ordered for them to capture the Straw Hats and bring them back to him. Before they could catch him in the net, Luffy uses a jet pistol, knocking Hammond to the ground. Luffy stops one of the sea beasts in his tracks without throwing a punch. Fukaboshi is impressed by Luffy's skills. Kami takes control of the royal gondola and tells the Straw Hats to hop on before the princes catch them. The princes approach the mermaids and wonder why they lied to them. Fukaboshi explains that they didn't mean the pirates harm, they just wanted to relay Jinbei's message. All right, so quite a bit happens here.
Mm-hmm. I'll defer to you guys as far as where we want to start.
At the beginning, I'm touched that like Luffy's immediately looking for Jinbei, like, because I love that relationship. So I'm so like excited for that reunion. Although we do quickly learn that Jinbei is not present, so that's a bummer. And apparently he had a message which does not get delivered. Also a bummer.
Hmm. Yeah, so misconnection here.
Yeah.
Yeah, so there's like a little bit of a misunderstanding where Kami thinks that the pirates are gonna be in trouble for entering illegally, where the princess just wanted to meet with Luffy. They were expecting him. They had a message to deliver, but they kind of like miss each other. And now there's like, all right, well, now we didn't get that message to them, so we have to try to find them. So yeah, it's just kind of a little bit of a mix up there.
Also, real quick before we jump into the rest of it, we get to see a little bit more of Fishman Island here, and I absolutely love the design of like these houses with like the um almost like conch shell or like different shells for like roofs and like this coral like these coral homes. And I think the architecture and like cityscape is amazing.
Hmm.
And then it has those like cool like plumes for the or like the tunnels of water. Um and we also get this like floating castle that's manned by this giant eel. Um and they're using the bubbles to kind of like float the castle like above the ground, which is kind of what I was trying to refer to earlier, but I didn't want to get too ahead of myself. Like I love
Okay.
how this bubble technology has been introduced to us, where we have this now like cool floating uh, eel propelled castle. Like how cool is that? And it like immediately makes sense to us because we've been introduced to like this type of technology before.
Uh, yeah.
We also see like floating orbs of around. Just really cool kind of seeing that coming back, and it makes sense. I mean, these two cities are like very like Sabodi and Fishman Island are not too far apart, so you can see the influence and like kind of um, shared technologies that they have.
Yeah, it's almost like two sides of the same coin.
Hmm.
But it's like we have like the like above water version, then we have like the underwater version. But they
Yep.
seem kind of like tied to each other in ways that some good, some bad. And we also get the name of the kingdom. It's the Ryugu Kingdom.
Oh, when we get introduced to the kingdom, we get this banner, the Kingdom of Ryugu, uh, Fishman Island. Is it the first time we've gotten a banner like that? I know we've gotten like cool bubbles and stuff, but not like an actual like textured banner like that. Is that the first time we've seen that or no?
I'm not
I
sure if
feel
we
like
had
we
something like
usually
that in
get.
Sky Island or something.
I feel like we always get like the like squarish text box with like the little curly cues in the corners,
Yeah.
Yeah,
but not like a. This is like a weathered parchment
yeah, it looks like a parchment.
scroll, which is cool.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
wonder
I
if
don't know
that'll
offhand.
be like
Yeah,
the new norm. I like it. I think it's cool.
yeah,
Yeah.
I agree.
Great. Yeah. It's a good
And
catch.
maybe we have seen it before. I don't know. I just when I saw it, I was like, oh, I was expecting like the other one that we normally get,
Yeah,
kind of
Yeah.
like what we got with Fukaboshi and the other princes.
right.
I mean, I can't think of another time when we can up to this point. So like there's a very good chance you're right.
Maybe
Maybe.
it's cool either way.
Yeah.
And that, what do you guys think of these princes?
I think I like the design. I think that it's you have like the firstborn who's like super serious, trident bearing um, prince, and the other two just want to like sing and dance, which I love.
Yeah.
Like we just want to have a good time. I just want to dance. I just want to sing.
Honestly,
Uh,
King, that's Big Bro's job.
yeah, right.
We have a life of
Just here for
luxury.
support.
Yeah, with Ryoboshi speaking like in Solfege over here with
Mm.
the Mifasa Lati Do, the Mirei Do.
Oh, I'm just realizing is Fukaboshi supposed to be a whale shark?
Just a shark merman,
But he's got the spots
like a whale shark.
like a whale shark, right?
Hmm.
Could be.
I didn't
Would,
catch that before.
well, is Jinbei a whale shark?
Oh,
Yeah.
is he?
I think
Yeah.
Jinbei is
He is.
also a whale shark.
Yes. Jinbei is a whale shark fish man. But Fukaboshi's a merman and not a fish man. There is a distinction there.
Yes,
So he could be a whale
good
shark
catch.
merman.
Ooh,
That's a
good
good point.
point. Yeah, that is a good point. Because Jembe has 2 legs.
Yeah,
Yes.
I did not catch that before. That
yeah.
Fukaboshi was a merman, but that makes sense.
I just noticed.
Yeah, that's
Which
a good good
it's
distinction
Yeah, that is.
because I don't think we've actually seen mermen before. Because we've seen mermaids,
Yeah.
but not mermen.
No, you're right. You're right.
Although I think Oda did confirm, like in SBS, that you can have male and female mermaids,
Mhm.
mermen, and then you can have male and female fishmen.
Yeah. Was it when he was talking about Kokoro? Maybe.
I think it was in the Hachi cover story.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yep.
That's right, because Kokoro tells us about like the transformation of gaining legs, right?
Yeah, so at a certain age,
At a certain
then
age.
splits into legs.
Right.
And then speaking of mermaids, we have Sanji who can no longer contain himself, and he spurts a giant geyser of blood in the shape of a mermaid, which causes massive blood loss for him. So this is now gone from a gag to a plot point. So this
Yep.
could potentially be like a breaking point for some people. It's like, all right, well, now this guy has gone too far. Um, I guess we'll see. Um, but yeah, so this does introduce a concept here that Sanji now does need a blood transfusion, and Chopper desperately asks for somebody to help donate blood. And then this kind of like it gets him a little frustrated because like nobody's really helping us, and like how come nobody's
Mhm.
helping us? But they're kind of ignorant to the way things work around here, and like the history like that's happened that's made it illegal for fishmen and humans to mix blood. So vice versa, they're not allowed to donate to each other. So there is a law that prevents them from doing that.
Yeah, this escalates very quickly.
Incredibly. I will say I do like the fact that it gives us context into the new Fishman pirates and it just lands us into this society so quickly. I think it is a really, really well done development as far as the impact of the situation.
Yeah,
Hmm.
and we've gotten a lot of history between the fishmen and humans, and Fisher Tiger, who's
Mm,
uh, mentioned multiple times, like mentioned before this chapter. We got that in Sky Island, I think, right?
Well, do you remember who Fisher Tiger is?
Or no, oh, it was sorry, it was when the Gorgon sisters were saved, right? He played a role in their getting saved from their captors, I
yeah.
believe.
Hmm. That's it.
Okay, yeah,
Yeah. So Fisher Tiger was the person who saved the Boa sisters and freed
right,
them from slavery, and was the person that Hancock said that Luffy um, was like Fisher Tiger when he punched the Celestial Dragon. Like he was one of the few people that stood up to him before. So
right,
yeah,
right, right.
that was when he came up previously, and that's when we learned about like the sun marking and the slavery thing.
Mhm.
It says, you know this, you're up to speed. Okay, now we're gonna go deeper.
Hmm.
And we're just there. We're just there. And I was like, cool. Love it.
Love it.
And this does give us uh, a snapshot as to the attitude of the new Fishman pirates because we see Hammond kind of like finding this situation funny. He's like, "Oh, look at all that blood! Let him bleed to death. You guys are so pathetic, asking for blood. You guys don't know anything." It's like you guys are the ones that started this when Fisher Tiger was trying to help everybody, humans included. You guys let him die and didn't, give him blood when he needed it. You guys should have saved him, but you guys let him die. So why should we help you guys? So it's kind of like the animosity that's been growing like all this time, and it's led to these laws to be put into place where the fishermen feel like they need to protect themselves from how they've been treated. And some of the fishermen we see here, like it goes a little deeper where it gets into territory like we saw like the tattoos where maybe they're um, less tolerant of humans. And we saw that with Arlong as well, how he's expressing feelings of superiority. So we've already kind of touched upon some of these topics before, and now we're seeing it come up on like a more wide scale, as opposed to like this little group of pirates on Arlong Park. We're now seeing how this affects like fishmen like as a whole.
Yep.
But I do enjoy Luffy's reaction to Hammond. So Hammond announces that their captain Hody Jones, he's the captain of the new Fishman Pirates, and he's been ordered to retrieve Luffy for him. And then Luffy he pretty easily takes care of them with a jet pistol. So we know how strong fishmen are from Arlong Park. But now we see Luffy's kind of come a long way since then, and he's able to pretty handily take care of some of these fishmen.
Not your standard jet pistol, I think. We don't even see it. We don't even see him throw the punch, which I think is awesome.
Yeah, this is like when he's
Like
in Gear 2.
Yeah. When he's like breaking the sound barrier with his punches.
Yeah.
Yeah. Where I mean it's awesome seeing Luffy controlling hockey here. Yeah, I don't think those are your everyday jet pistols, and then he's able to calm the beast, the sea beast attacking him.
Yeah.
Very cool. I mean, it's cool seeing Luffy in control because I feel like he's always kind of had this out of control. I'm just going to give 100% of whatever I've got and see if I can just like pure strength overpower somebody. But I feel like here he's like showing technique and focus and control, which I feel like was like the missing piece in his fighting style, until now. So I feel like I'm very excited to see where this goes. And yeah, it's just
Definitely.
impressive. I feel like because we've seen him like accidentally like knock out creatures and like what was it? Or I'm trying to remember. Like the first time we saw him interacting with an animal, it was like that buffalo or what was it?
Motabaro with the
Motabaro, yeah, and
Rosy Life Riders.
yeah, and he was like knocking out creatures without even realizing what he was doing. And now he's got the power. He's got control of the power. It's very cool.
He's got the touch. The whole Transformers reference for music for your 80s kids. But yeah, so it is nice to see Luffy able to control the Haki of the Supreme King to some extent. Because like you're saying before, it's more instinct, and now he's using it deliberately here. Yeah, I think that's pretty much where we're going to leave this episode. Do you guys have any other thoughts for the chapter or the volume as a whole?
I just love the fact that the princes have a squadron known as the Ammonites. It really tickled me when I saw that pun. I really, really, really enjoyed that. I just wanted to make note of it.
That's a good catch.
Very clever.
Like Ammonites.
Yes, yeah, it's really clever.
And they even have like the spiral shell helmets and stuff. Yeah, that's a good catch.
It's great. But yeah, otherwise we're finally here. Things are already ramping up. I think I'll save discussion of the big nosebleed for when Sean is back next episode, hopefully. But I definitely think coming back to it, compared to when I first read it and after discourse around it and after us talking about the Mona as a whole, I definitely have some new thoughts on it compared to where I was before.
Okay.
I'll wait for the bigger discussion around that because I know it's something that Sean has mentioned before, so I want to make sure he's part of that too.
Yeah, I mean, so far it's not bothering me that much.
Yeah.
But I guess we'll see. We'll see if it progresses from here or not. And there wasn't that much time dedicated to the actual event. Like I do think it is like there is humor to it where it's like he had a nosebleed so bad that he now needs like a blood transfusion.
Right.
That is pretty funny. But it is also like a little bit like an eye roll, just because I think it's like the circumstances that led to this. But the actual event I think is pretty funny, and like the discourse that it's led to, I do find very interesting.
Yes,
That's what I enjoy about this arc in particular is the discourse of the topics that Oda touches upon here. So I am excited to delve deeper into like the history of Fishman Island.
Yeah.
And this is just kind of like an introduction to those concepts.
Yeah. And also, I guess just regarding that one scene, I don't want to act like I know what Sean's opinion on that scene is going to be. I don't want to pretend like I know anything about it. I just know that Sanji's been anything that comes up, just for clarity for anyone listening and all that. Yeah. But I think, yeah, there's definitely a lot of conversations to be had, that things in this section of the volume are going to be the starting point of, and I'm very, very, very excited to keep going with it.
Yeah, and not like, I appreciate you clarifying that we're not specifying Sean's opinions without him. But I do think there is a segment of the fan base that is vocal about the criticism for this arc and that plot point in particular.
Yeah.
So that is just something to discuss regarding this arc.
Yeah, 100%.
Evan,
I
how about
think
you?
like
Final thought?
completely aside, not to keep harping on this topic, but I think completely aside of like your opinion of the context of it, I think I love how Oda like breaks the fourth wall in the sense that he's acknowledging that the nosebleeds are like real and like are very much a part of the thing. Like where in the past we've had Sanji's eyes have like turned into hearts and they've like drew attention to that as that like actually happening in the plot. Which I think, again, aside from like your opinions of like the gag or not, I think I love that Oda does that. Like actually, um, draws attention to these emotes and makes them a reality. Like makes them actually exist in the world. Like I think I find that really funny. Like when he draws attention to that, I think that that's pretty funny.
That is the best part of the joke, in my opinion. I think that is
Yeah,
what
I think that's the
honestly,
funny part.
I think I don't really have a problem with it. I think I've gone back and forth on it, but to me that's what makes it work. So I'm
Yeah.
I'll get into it later at a later time.
In a way, though, I
Well,
do respect that Oda does commit to those gags, and
yeah.
like you're saying, like he commits to them being something in universe. Like it's not like his like eyes are stuck as hearts like permanently. It's not like a plot point. It's like a thing that happens. It's a visual gag, and they kind of break the fourth wall and acknowledge it. Um, but it is just like, I do respect that like Oda is committing to the story he's trying to tell, and he's telling the story he wants to tell. So in that way, I do respect him regardless, and now I appreciate that he is committed to these gags.
Yeah. As for the volume on a whole, I had so much fun. I think this was like a very cool journey to the bottom of the sea. I love how Fishman Island, which we've been anticipating for so long. I love how it looks and feels. Um, yeah, and I'm very excited. I feel like we got like a new villain cooking, and we've got or maybe not a villain. We'll see. But I'm very excited to learn of Jinbei's message. Like, hopefully, that is foretold soon because I'm looking forward to a Jinbei reunion. Like I hope that happens sooner rather than later. But yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited for
Yeah,
more of this arc.
I do think there's some fun stuff that's been established here so far, and I do like that Oda set up a lot of these things early on in the story, and he's able to kind of capitalize it and bring some of these things back. Because again, remember, Jinbei was first mentioned before Arlong Park as being one of the seven warlords. He was one of the first warlords mentioned, the last that we saw. And then the whole concept of the fisherman was introduced in Arlong Park. So there's a lot of like concepts that Oda set up early on that he's able to bring back, and because we're familiar with them, you can go into further details. I do think that's one of the most exciting elements of this arc. So I'm excited to dive into that once we get further in. All right, but for now, that will conclude this week's episode of the We Are Reading One Piece podcast. You can find this episode wherever podcasts are found at We're Reading One Piece podcast.buzzsprout.com or on the YouTube channel at We're Reading One Piece. This is a spoiler-free channel up to where we record the podcast. So if you're new to the series, you can visit the channel there. You can also find me and this podcast on my YouTube channel at Parking Codex for more One Piece content. If you have any questions, comments, or feedback, you can reach us at weareadingOnePiece@gmail.com. We love to hear from listeners, so if you're enjoying the show, or if you have any suggestions on how we can make it better, let us know. Next episode, we'll be finishing Volume 62, Adventure on Fishman Island. I've been Joel, and I'm joined by Evan.
Thanks for listening.
And Cody.
Beneath the ocean. Beneath the ocean. I changed the key and the tempo. Please don't sue us. So to be beneath the ocean.
All right. Well, be sure to bring on all the hopes and dreams, and we'll see you on the next episode.